Alright, so it seems like everybody, at least the people who got review samples, have already posted their Zone Pro Mk3 videos. I don't know that there is much point in me posting a video, but I'm going to record this anyway, and then if I think it'll make a good video, it'll get posted. So, a couple of pieces of tape. Let's see. I got this box probably about 2 weeks after I confirmed a shipping address with Dartzone. It's not bad, all things considered. I do not know how big of a company Primetime Toys is. I mean, Hasbro, you figure, is a massive company, but Primetime Toys, I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, they only do dart foam ball type products and not, everything under the sun like Hasbro does. So here we go, Zone Pro Mk3. Do not return to store. That would actually be exceedingly difficult. I did not get this at a store. Alright. Now, first off, as a caveat, I have not actually owned, I'm not even sure I have handled a Zone Pro blaster before. I don't have a Mark 1, 1.1, or 2. Generally, I kind of go with the less expensive stuff. And in the case of the DZP 1 and 1.1, I'm glad that I held out for the Nexus Pro. I actually kind of wish I'd held out for the Striker, because I don't need both the Striker and the Nexus, and if I could have just one, knowing now what's there, I'd actually rather have a Striker, but I have a Nexus, so I'm not going to buy a Striker. I also really like the Eon Pro. Alright. This moves around a little bit, but it's... Alright, there's the thing. So clearly we have one of their adapters for half dart mags. We have the short dart mag, the full length dart mag. We have I think this is a red dot scope. It needs its own batteries. A bunch of darts. What is that about? Probably about 15 darts of each size. Blaster itself, it has the stock included, and it even has safety glasses. Now, I've owned safety glasses for a number of years, so I tend to wear something like one of these, depending on if it is bright or dark. $130 MSRP. Now, I am kind of curious. Here's one of the adapters. I have to assume... Okay, this is the one that came with the Nexus. It didn't have the arrow on it. I do not know where my other short dart adapter is. Crap. I'm thinking that this is basically an identical adapter, and I wanted to get the Eon one because I know the Eon one has the arrow that points to the front, and this Nexus one didn't, but it is probably essentially the same. It may be, in fact, identical to the one that came with the Striker because that one was already gray. Here is the blaster itself. Alright, we have an adjustable stock. It comes off all the way. I guess this is, you'd call this a buffer tube. I do not have any airsoft anythings such as stocks, so I don't have anything else that will go on here. That looks like about the farthest it'll go. You know what? The farthest sling point is actually pretty good for me. I don't think I'd want it further out. That's pretty good. So I am relatively tall, and therefore, if it meets my needs, it will probably meet a number of other people's needs, although perhaps not somebody who's even taller than me, of course. The adapter on the surface, looks identical to the one that came with Eon, obviously molded in a different color of plastic. Here we have, this is a Nexus or Eon Pro mag, which, I mean, it came with this, so obviously it fits in there, but I'm certain it will fit in here just fine. Yeah, it does. And feeling pretty sure this is a curved talon. That should be just fine in there too. Now, what I've run into online in the reviews is Worker talons are probably the most popular and probably the best option for half darts. But apparently the DZP Mk3, I'm gonna get a kind of a sticky trigger. Yeah, that's, I don't know, that's, mine isn't sticking. I don't know if I'd say it's sticking, but it's not as smooth as I would like. A little bit smoother without a mag in there. Now I did, ahead of time, I printed, this is a skinny pusher on Thingiverse. Printed that on my Ender 3. The other thing that I found is this is a rev switch stabilizing post, so I'll be putting those on once I open the blaster. And here, everything should be cross compatible. I think it was definitely the right decision for Dart Zone to make this mag adapter compatible with talons, but at the same time, I feel bad for the people who bought the Mark 1 or 1.1, which I think came with a different mag that doesn't have quite the same compatibility, or maybe it's that the mag adapter doesn't do talons. Something about them isn't quite aligned as nicely as you might want it to be with the 1.1. Now the other thing I'm going to do, I haven't done this yet because I wanted to have it in hand first. This barrel is nice, but I think I'm going to print a replacement. Currently, there's only one freely available printable replacement that I know of, and it basically deletes the whole thing. It has the part that attaches to the blaster, but it has almost nothing there. The OutofDarts muzzle replacement looks amazing, and I may end up picking it up, but I am also super cheap, and I don't know if I will. Now, watching my channel, you may have heard I am left-handed. So, switching from full auto to, that's pretty easy with your right hand. And I'm not really crazy about this. I don't like anything that's only on one side, because let me tell you, left-handed people pretty much always get the shaft on this stuff. Maybe a few exceptions. I can think of a few exceptions, but that is doable. I don't know that I really see myself switching it. Once I test the modes, I'm certain I will seize on full auto or semi and just use that almost exclusively. I think the main complaint I've seen about full auto is that the rate is not very fast, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really like a really fast full auto. I like a slow, maybe 3 darts a second, and not much more than that. I am perfectly fine with a slow rate of full auto. The battery door screws into the blaster much further than I would have expected, and I thought that this screw would be captive in the battery tray door, and it is not. That is kind of surprising. Oh, I guess, you know what, it could have, I guess if I hadn't unscrewed it quite so much, it would have stayed in the lid. But still, I thought it would be captive there. Now, the other thing I have to say about this is, you know what, I think Dart Zone hit on the perfect balance for the battery power for this blaster, because, okay, 8 AA's, sure, apparently it does okay on 8 AA's, but you remove this one screw, lift the entire battery tray out, and there's your XT60. That is glorious. That is about the best possible way they could have said, no, we don't want to force people to use a LiPo battery because they can be, well, how should we say it? LiPo battery can potentially be dangerous if it's not handled correctly. And at the same time, you can just buy batteries off the shelf and run this, and you'll get reasonable performance. That is a superb way to do this. Thumbs up to Dart Zone. Unfortunately, at this time, I do not own any 3S LiPos. I am planning to probably get one. Mostly I need to assess the dimensions and figure out what to do, and I may end up needing a replacement battery door cover. Oh, I do. You have to take the netting off of the grip. Well, maybe not have to. I can see at least 2 screw holes underneath this rubber grip. Well, no, wait, you know what? You'd have to take the rubber grip off if you're opening the blaster anyway, because that's how the blaster splits in half. Duh. Oh yeah, there's actually a total of 4 screws underneath the rubber grip. The number of screws in this reminded me of a long shot. There are so many screws. Most of them, even though my screwdriver is magnetic, most of them are still in this half of the shell, so I need to not flip that. Every screw that did come out looks like it is the same size, so that's nice. Oh, look at that. The wiring for the LiPo is, each one is looped around these posts, so it can't move. That's cool. Now I happen to have printed out, this is supposed to be a replacement magazine release for the Eon Pro and I think the Nexus Pro. And I wonder if it would fit in here. It looks like it would. Looks like these dimensions are basically the same. If you're wondering why it is gray on one side, it's because I had a strand of gray filament. I put that in first and I don't know, it looks kind of weird, but it is what it is. Now this one part that I printed, this part, this is a switch reinforcement. This was designed to fit on this screw post right here. And the other half of the shell holds it in. Basically, somebody was seeing that when I think they said when they revved, that this switch apparently was wobbling a little bit. They were getting inconsistent revving. And so there's even a little groove right here that will go over that rib. Okay, I had to clean up my print a little bit, but that piece fits right on there. It's actually pretty snug. The groove for the rib will keep it from rotating. Of course, the fact that it's flat against the switch will also keep it from rotating. And then this switch will not go anywhere. So the interesting thing for me so far is I'm not necessarily seeing much in the way of resistance from the Talon mag gripping the pusher. I thought that's what was supposed to happen, and some people, like Fun Blast, said you can cut out a section of this pusher guide, and the skinny pusher may also do the job. But if mine doesn't need it, I guess I don't need to. I need to try a straight Talon, an original Talon. I should use the gray adapter too, just in case. That is really interesting, yeah. So this this curved talon seems to be slightly wider at the opening. Time for, I was going to say science, but time for math. Okay, the opening on this curved talon is 9.34 millimeters. 9.34. And the opening on this... Wow. Holy crap. The opening on this straight talon is only 8.1. It is over a millimeter tighter. That is fascinating. What? 8.13? Wow. I gotta check some more of these. 9.2 is the other curved talon that I have at hand. I have some more, but they're still in the box. 8.39 millimeters. 8.23. Wow. Some of these are a millimeter wider. That is fascinating. I did not know there was so much variance among worker talons, and in particular that there was that much of a difference between the curved and the straight ones. That explains a lot. Now, given that I think I have 5 straight talons with these extenders on them, and I think I have 5 curved talons. So given that I have an abundance of the straight ones, I do foresee myself installing the skinny pusher, because why wouldn't I at that point? It looks like it should just be a matter of removing this screw. And of course, while I'm in here, I want to see if this mag release lever fits too, but it looks like a carbon copy. Okay. So this Thingiverse mag release lever does fit perfectly. It is only, I would say it is only slightly different in profile from the stock one, but some of us are probably going to leave the adapter in there full time, so you may as well have a less intrusive lever. Given that this one was slated to go in my Eon Pro, I will be printing another. The difference in length is only about a centimeter, but it would still be less intrusive with the replacement one. I will admit that working with the stock mag release lever is much easier because it has the post that the spring goes over. This one has an indentation where the spring goes, but it's easier for it to fall out as you're manipulating it. Alright, so there is just one screw holding on the stock pusher. Removing that and inserting this. I guess the teeth up here are for when it is in full auto mode, because otherwise nothing is engaging those teeth. This pusher just swings on its own. So the real test, of course, is does the pusher arm... Oh, it doesn't... Oh, you know what? I have that on there too tight. Well, either it's too tight or possibly that part of the print is too thick. Yeah, that's not moving. Oh, jeez. As long as you give enough slack for this screw to be able to go up and down, the replacement pusher will work. Getting the right amount of slack, though, could be tricky. Alright, so I have some sanding to do on this part, I think, or shaving of the plastic. It's not perfect, and you don't want to have it getting stuck. That's the whole point of replacing it, is so that it does not get stuck. That's pretty decent. That is pretty decent. it looks like the skinny pusher will be just fine, and I will probably leave it in there. So I'll be honest with you, given that the Mark III is basically mod ready or pre-modded, how do you want to think about it? It is good enough in stock form that you don't really need to do much to it. So apart from things like these 3D printed parts to improve the quality of life, I'm not really planning to touch the internals. The electronics, the wiring is nice and thick. The flywheel cage, I'm just going to leave alone. The flywheel cage, flywheels, motors, I'm going to leave it as is. I wish I had this for the HVZ that I just ran this past weekend. It would have been perfect in a 2S mode. So I hope that you have enjoyed this, assuming you stuck around. This was an amazing experience to win something that costs so much money. I hate to say it, I would not have been looking to purchase one of these otherwise. It is an amazing blaster, but it is so expensive, and that's why I haven't gotten the other Dart Zone Pros is the cost. The most expensive blaster I own, the most I've ever spent on a blaster, is my Caliburn, and the hardware kit was something like $60, $70 like that. I printed all the parts myself. So that's the most I've spent out of pocket on any single blaster, and this is really nice. So I'm so thankful to Dart Zone, both for making it and for doing these giveaways, and then I'm thankful to OutofDarts for running one of those giveaways where I won it. I understand that the people who got the review samples didn't have to do a giveaway, they were given the option to do so. So my thanks to OutofDarts and to the other early reviewers who did those giveaways. That's fantastic. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.